So there's a cultural thing in that emphasis that I think is lacking in LaTeX.
Perhaps that cultural thing is related to the pursuit of excellence in typography, rather than we have to get this done by Friday. I'm being a bit hard on both sides of the coin.
I agree wholeheartedly, but in reality, what portion of the LaTeX using community are in the we have to get this perfect, as against we need this done by Friday? And I think therein lies some of the problem, the understanding who is actually using the tools and why. We have to, in my department, we are about to lose the only secretary who knows how to do LaTeX, and no one else wants to learn. So the ability of staff to have someone else write up their documents is going. So that means that an entire way of operating has to be changed for those staff. That seems to me to be a massively, well, tragic almost, because I think in the end, the outcome for exam scripts, for assignments, for everything we share with people and our course material, the outcome that is possible starting with LaTeX is far superior as a product to anything that comes out of Microsoft Office.
Yeah,
there are some.
I'm jumping in because I really quite agree with what Jonathan has said. How to say this? The tragedy that you're pointing to seems to stem from not having an alternative that could take its place. But would not our studio itself be a hopeful presence there in that picture? Or would the people who used to use this staff member to produce their documents for them not want to transition to our studio or something?
I think the staff that the statistics staff who are using R already have moved to writing up their own R Markdown documents, but the mathematicians don't have an option. You don't get a MATLAB user doing the same thing as an R user. Mathematicians in my department are still writing up a document over here and then going and running their MATLAB script over there, and actually in the same way they were doing 20 years ago. They haven't been given any empowerment whatsoever. It's true that they could actually write up their document in an R Markdown file inside RStudio if that's what they want to do, but they could write it up in R Markdown, and inside that they can run their MATLAB script, or Octave, or Python, or Perl, or Ruby, or C#, C++, and 20 other languages. So the computer scientists are already using Markdown, not in R Markdown, but the Python community is heavily wedded to Markdown now. So who's going to be that last man standing sort of department that is utterly dependent on LaTeX? And
I hope I may be forgiven for saying something dark at this point, but we say science progresses one funeral at a time. Okay, so you get the point. It seems like we're looking at a problem that relates to any sort of transition. And my fond hope is that, okay, let me put it this way. Earlier I talked about the standard by which something should be measured. Knuth had his own standards, and I believe Leslie Lamport shared them to some degree. But Knuth's standard was that he wanted to be able to produce art of computer programming with the typographic niceties, the math typography that he was used to seeing before the computer typesetting revolution took over and degraded all math books. He wanted it to look like when he was a student. And he achieved that. So both tech and LaTeX can produce very, very good looking formatted documents from a math typography standpoint. And it occurs to me to wonder if that is being preserved with today's tools